friends, welcome to my channel. So in the today's lecture we are going to discuss the conversion from ER model to relational model. Okay, so whenever you are working on your software project, okay, so you have to define your databases. Okay, so before the actual implementation of the project, what you do, first of all, we try to make the ER model of the database. Okay, it is nothing but a kind of a flow diagram, or you can call it as a graphical representation of your databases, okay, in which you are going to define the number of entities that is going to be present in your project and how all these entities are related with one another. Okay, so after making the flow diagram of your database, what we will be doing next? We will be converting this ER model into the relational model. What is the meaning of relational model? Now we are going to convert our entities into the tables. Okay, we are going to convert our entities and attributes and relationships of ER diagram into the tables. Okay, so in this video we will be discussing that how we are going to convert our ER model into the relational model. Okay, so firstly, let me tell you that how to convert an entity into the table. If you are given one entity, then how you will be making the table corresponding to that entity. Okay, let's suppose we have a student entity. We have a student entity and the various attributes. Let's suppose name. Okay, and this name is actually your composite attribute. It is having further first name and last name. Okay, then we have roll number, and one more attribute we have is date of birth. Okay, so this is actually the entity and we have the various attributes of this entity. Now what I want to do, I want to convert this entity into the relational model. Okay, we will be discussing that how to convert your ER diagram into relational model step by step. Okay, so firstly let's convert this entity into the relational model. So we are going to make, for one entity we have a corresponding one table. For this one entity we will be having only one table corresponding to it. So we are making student entity. Okay, next we have to now include all these attributes in this student table. Okay, and let me tell you one thing, we according to this entity. This is how we are going to convert our entity into the relational model. Okay. For this entity, the tabular form look like this. We always include simple attributes in the table. You will not be including the composite attribute. Okay. So this is just the first basic step, that how we convert our entity into the table. Okay. Now let's convert multi-valued attribute into the relational model. Multi-valued attribute. Okay. So let's suppose we have one entity, student. Okay. We have, let's suppose, name attribute. We have date of birth, and one attribute we have is phone number. Okay. So this phone number is actually your multi-valued attribute. So one student can have more than one phone number. Okay. So let's determine that how do we make the table of an entity if we have one multi-valued attribute. So firstly, let's see, we have a student table. Okay. For one entity, one table is going to be there. We have name, we have date of birth, and we have a mobile number. Okay, or you can call it as a phone number. Okay, let's suppose we have name Aarti. Aarti is having some date of birth, and let's suppose that mobile number is 123. Okay, the phone number is 123. So Aarti is having two phone numbers. So we have to store two phone numbers. Okay. In a table, you can't keep two phone numbers in the same cell like 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's suppose Aarti has two phone numbers, 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4. You can't, store values in any cell using commas. There is no rule given in the database that each and every cell should have only one value. You can't define more than one value in a single cell. So you can't write like this. So what is the other option we are having? So we have to write one more record like Aarti, date of birth, okay, and the mobile number is 234. This way, if you are keeping multi-valued attribute in a one table, this way you are going to store the information. Let's suppose we also have one more student, Neha. Neha is having some mobile number. Neha is having some date of birth. Let's suppose the one mobile number is 567 and Neha's second mobile number is, let's suppose, 890. If you look at this way, you will be storing the information if you are given a multi-valued attribute. Okay, so if you look at these two entries are repetitive. These both are redundant or duplicated. Okay, if you look at this way, these two entries are duplicated, only the mobile numbers are different, but the remaining values are duplicated or redundant. So if you are going to store the information like this, so lots of space is going to be wasted. You are just wasting your lots of space for redundancy. Okay. So what is a good way to keep multi-valued attribute in your table? You make one different table. Okay. What you can do? We will be making two tables. We will be making one separate table for the multi-valued attribute. One table we have student. One table we have is for phone numbers. We are storing only the phone numbers. And let's assume that we also have a one key attribute as a roll number. Okay. This roll number is acting as a key attribute for this entity. So we have roll number, name, and we have date of birth. Okay. In this way, you are just not storing phone number in this student table. Roll number 1, name Aarti. Okay. She is having some date of birth. Roll number 2, Neha. Okay. So now, what you will be doing, you will be storing the phone numbers in this table. Okay. And what you will be doing, you will be using these roll number as the common attribute in this table. Because we have to define the relationship between these two tables. So what we are doing, we are writing here roll number as a common attribute and we are writing mobile number. Okay. So what you are doing, Aarti, the roll number 1 is having 1, 2, 3. Roll number 1, Aarti is having 2, 3, 4. Okay. And your roll number 2, Neha, has 1, 5, 6, 7 and it is having 8, 9, 0. So if you look at, very less amount of redundancy is there. If you look at in this table, there was a lot of duplicated data. So what we did, we divided this table into the two tables and we are making relationship between these two tables with the help of roll number attribute, and very less amount of duplicacy is there. Okay. So if you are given multi-valued attribute in your entity, we will be making the separate table for the multi-valued attribute like this. So I hope that you are clear with multi-valued attribute. So if you have any query, I have mentioned my email ID in the description box. You can contact me on that email ID. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe my channel.